see picking up here. So Pilate condemned Jesus to die, and he was condemned to die by crucifixion. It was the death sentence of a common criminal or a slave. A Roman citizen could not be executed in this way. It was against the law. So the Apostle Paul was a Roman citizen. He was beheaded because it was against the law to crucify a Roman citizen. Now again, in John's Gospel, we're told that Jesus was nailed to the cross. Only John mentions that. Matthew, Mark, and Luke don't. And critics of the Bible again said that wouldn't work. If you took a full-grown man and tried to put a nail through his hand, through a piece of wood, he would just, the nail would pull through his hand. And that's true. But here's some things we learned over the years. The Greek word for hand includes the bones of the upper wrist. And they didn't use like little roofing nails. They were thick spikes. And as we'll see here in this picture, this is the bone of a first century crucified victim. You can see the end of the spike. They must have been doing over a rock or something. It got bent, so they just left it in. When they took him down from the cross, they just left it in. And when they did a microscopic analysis, what they discovered were tiny little pieces of wood here. And so what they would do would be to take a piece of wood and use it like a washer, lay it over the hand, and then put a spike through it. Just like a washer holds the head of a bolt in place, that would spread out the weight of the victim. And so they, again, the Bible is proven to be accurate.
Wait, so it was of a common
criminal.
Okay.
Yep, common criminal, and they actually, you could even say common criminal or slave, because slaves were treated that way as well. It was a slow death, usually 2 to 4 days, used by the Romans as a deterrent. Rome would come into your land and they would say, "We're the Romans, we're here, and we are now your bosses. Pay us taxes." And most people after a while said, "Okay." But if you tried to say, "No, we're going to retain our independence," the Romans would send their armies in. And they were the most well-trained, best-equipped army of the day. Some people think the greatest army of all time. Who knows? I'm not a historian, so I can't decide that. And what they would do, if, let's say, you had a strong city, high walls, you said, "You know what, we can hold out. We're not going to give in." And the Romans would build walls, they would use their shields, they'd just keep throwing rocks in front of them, and then gradually build the walls up till they could get to the top of the wall. Romans used catapults, they're well known for that. And eventually they would get in. When they broke into the city, they would find the leaders. Today we call them like the mayor and the city council. They would find these people and they would crucify them all along the main road. So everybody would have to walk by to get into that city. And if the city down 30 miles away or 100 miles away, and you knew them over the years, and they thought, "Well, we're going to resist the Romans," and you're thinking maybe we will too. And they get defeated, and their mayor and their city council all gets crucified, and you journey over there 10 days, and you go look, you're not gonna resist the Romans. And the Romans ruled with an iron fist. Once they conquered people, they would say, "You can have your own religion, you can even govern yourselves more or less, but here's 2 things we reserve the right. Number 1, I already mentioned this, you may not exercise capital punishment. Only we can do executions. And number 2, you've got to pay your taxes. If you swear loyalty to the Roman emperor, pay your taxes, and we get to do the death penalty, we'll kind of leave you alone." And so that's how the Roman Empire grew.